question of why men, or I guess to be more specific, some men like to play as female characters was one that always existed, but I feel like it has gone in a weird direction in recent years. Because the answer used to be quite simple, frankly. If you were a man and you like to play as female characters, it was probably because you were a gooner, right? As they call it these days. You did that because you prefer looking at female ass throughout your playthrough instead of male ass, right? It wasn't anything deeper than that. If you were a man, you played a male character because you wanted to feel cool. And if you were a man and you played a female character, you did that because you were a gooner and just wanted to look at ass for your entire playthrough. It used to be pretty simple. It used to be the, I guess, agreed upon answer to that question. To the point where if you were a guy and you like to play as female characters, people wouldn't even ask you this question. They would pretty much just assume that that was your answer. Though that really hasn't been the case in recent years. I guess because of the overall desexualization of female characters, coupled with people being more ashamed of being called or being perceived as gooners, or of liking this kind of sexual content in media in general. Right? I guess it was a combination of these factors, as well as the rise of more widespread acknowledgement of like trans identity, kind of all culminated into the answers to that question being a lot more varied these days, with it being able to range from anything from, no, I just like that for that usual excuse, no, I just like that for the smaller hitbox, or no, I just like the increased fashion options and I just like to customize my character and make her look pretty. And so, since it's easier to do that to a female character, I play then, right? And these are only the simplest ones. There are people that have spent entire paragraphs trying to justify playing with female characters without being perceived as gooners, right? And I'm not saying that these people are lying, obviously not. This would be a baseless accusation, unless I were to do it to some particular cases instead. But it is pretty interesting to me to notice how this question, how it is perceived and how it's answered nowadays is so much different than how this used to. It's just kind of interesting to see how the perception of this question, as well as the answers to it, have changed over the years. Has ironically given that you're actually more likely to be assumed either in a derogatory or overly excited way as a part of the LGBTQ community instead of as a gooner, if you say that you like to play as female characters. And so just noticing that and the various factors that led to it is just really interesting. Though, again, I would not accuse anyone on a general level without evidence. I won't even accuse people on a personal level, but I just wonder how much of this has to do with people who legitimately had responses that did not align with the usual perception of these kinds of players, and who are simply more comfortable talking about that now, since they won't be perceived as just coping or trying to give excuses for being gooners. And I wonder how many of them are actually coping because they are gooners and just don't want to admit it. I legitimately wonder that sometimes because, I don't know, things used to be so simple before. The answer to this question used to be so much simpler before that when you compare to how complicated it is right now, I don't know, you just really have to wonder how much of those new responses are actually sincere and how many of them are really just coping. I don't know, maybe I'm the one coping because I'm still stuck in the past with my perceptions of certain things, right? You can see that by my taste in waifus, which looks like straight from 2010. But I don't know if it's a me problem, if I simply am perceiving these people as coping when they're not, because I just can't get out of this perception of the past that the people who like to do this are just gooners and that's it, or if it really is then coping. I just wonder who really is to blame here, if anyone. I don't know, that was kind of more rambly than even my usual rambles, but I just was thinking about this recently and wanted to see if, by including you guys in the conversation, if you wouldn't have anything interesting to add to my out there thoughts on the matter. But again, that's mainly the reason I made this video, so if you do feel like you have something to contribute to whatever this was, then please do so in the comments. I'd be really happy if you did. And that will be it for today. If you liked this video, please do all the normal YouTube stuff. You know, like, comment, subscribe, etc. And I genuinely do hope to see you next time. If you really liked it, I'd also really appreciate if you could support me financially, either through a one-time paid comment donation or by joining my membership, where for $1 a month, you get to participate in exclusive polls in order to decide which videos I'll make next. Like, which of my plans should I focus on? Which of the content I have in mind do you want to see first? You know, that kind of thing. As well as get your name put in this fancy little screen right here. You know, just as a small gesture of appreciation, exactly for your monthly support. But of course, no matter how much you choose to give me, as well as if you choose to give me anything at all, do know that I really appreciate any cent you're willing to throw my way, as well as just the fact that you're watching this video up to this point at all. But with all that stuff out of the way, I think it's finally time to, as always, bid you guys farewell. Obscure Anime out.